What's up, everybody? Hope you all are doing well today. I want to cover over a little bit into the Ferns Big chapter. I think it's either 3 or 4 that I posted on As You Learn about rumors and cyber crises. But more specifically, within this case, talking about rumors. And rumors are very much an interesting part of what we know about crises in issues and how we handle them. So a lot of this comes into not only into the society of what we know as fake news, how to spot it, and I can gather some resources for y'all about some of that, but also jumping facts before they come out. So in the days of kind of bringing in mass media journalism, like newspapers, television, what have you, a lot of this notion is when it came to jumping facts, it would always be that something would occur, a crisis would occur, for instance, and a news station would cover it and may not know all the facts before everything came out. And so, with the implementation of things like social media, and I know I'm talking about like this is a brand new thing, it's not. Um, but as we're becoming more and more niche into our topics, I point to a couple of different areas within crises and rumors, more specifically, in that we might bring up, again, the accident that occurred at the Bear road race in Linville recently. And you don't have to look far. In fact, I would really encourage you to go to some Facebook pages that have covered this, not only from the source of the Watauga Democrat that posted on their social media account, but also things like Avery County Roads, which was a big kind of news outlet through people that were on site or people who post regularly. All of this kind of came into fruition in making this something that it may not have been. So the story that it was an 80-year-old man who had been working as a volunteer for this race. Details aren't completely clear whether it was him slipping from the accelerator to the brake and missing, or the accelerating being stuck. Ultimately, he lost control and ended up hitting 4 people. One woman tragically died while this occurred. Now, the story is out in the Watauga Democrat now, but before then, there was hundreds of prognostications by means of Facebook comments, for instance, that covered some of this information and not correctly, I might add. So there would already be people that were saying something to the effect of, well, they need to increase security so that runners can get off, or they need to make sure that runners aren't on the road. These facts that were just coming out, none of them were true, but they were spreading in this case. And so if I'm the race, the Highland Games or the Bears specifically, or the sponsors or industries that take care of this, I need to get that under control. And this is where rumors really come into fruition about how we get things under control. And some of this is based on things like source material. So I'll go over a couple of them, especially those that were hoaxes that just flat out weren't true, and how they had to discover and talk about these. So there were some older examples. I'll mention a couple times that Pepsi once found a syringe. Someone found a syringe in their Pepsi can at one point. This was in the 80s, where Pepsi had to come and say, we have to look at every single can. And luckily, there are labels on those particular cans to say, oh, no, that actually didn't happen. Whole thing was a hoax. There's one example, I think this one's in your book, is the Procter and Gamble and this ode to Satanism when it came to their logo. So their logo is apparently representing 666 with 2 horns. When if you look at the actual logo, Procter and Gamble said, no, that's not it at all. It's just the man in the moon, which is the trademark for the company. So already, again, things are getting out of a little bit of hand. Snap's fast food. There's a chain back a long time ago. One of the managers had HIV/AIDS. And so there was a rumor that went around really quickly that it had contaminated all the meat. So looked into the source of that rumor. All restaurant managers had to be tested for HIV. And they had a press conference to say, nobody has this disease. Therefore, it's totally false. The area in which I'm trying to bring in here, even in older rumors, is how can we make sure that we get things under control and fast? Because as you probably well know, in any case, for interpersonal group communication, rumors can spread very quickly to a point where they're now out of your control and there is a narrative spread about you. So, things like, very old examples. Napoleon Bonaparte was short. I believe he was 5'8", which, I'm 5'9". That's a pretty average height. Or he may have been 5'6", but even still was not at the level that British propaganda writers were claiming them at. So, again, these are things that kind of get out of hand to where we start talking about them in such a way that they become fake news and they become something that can affect an organization really poorly, even though some of them they can do really well. Some organizations might have a rumor about them that say, no, that's not what we did. Thank you for claiming that about us, but that is not something that we have done in any case. So it's important to kind of make sure that all your sources are checked. But the most important thing for an organization is to be able to take all this information, cite your sources, be very clear about what it is that you went through. These rumors might still take off. But if you're transparent, and I know I mentioned transparent a lot, if you're honest, and if you stick with that narrative, some of these rumors will die off. And the good thing is, as much as rumors are really quick to start off, there are many rumors that are also just as quick to be kind of knocked down almost immediately. So to go along with that, one of my favorite sports teams is a team called West Ham United. And there are a ton of rumors that go through the rumor mill on a daily basis on Twitter. I pay attention to them probably way more than I should. And so when this comes about, West Ham as a company, as a sports organization, this soccer club, football club, will pretty much stay silent through the whole thing. They don't want to give any leaks and say, oh, they can stay tuned, or so that's really not their job. What is interesting are there are influencers that kind of work as a source of credibility that may not work with the organization, but they're the ones that can kind of clear the air when this comes up. So at any given point in time, especially during the summer, we will have just these constant rumor mills. And they're actually extremely interesting how they can come up. They can come from bids of an organization that they would say, I want this player, but I'm not actually going for them. I'm pressing somebody's hand. Agents can actually feed to journalists and say, hey, this certain club is interested in this player. Totally fabricated, but at the same time gets this media cycle stirred where the rumor mill starts to go. And it takes several people that are considered the voices, if you will. And again, I use the word influencer here to be able to say, no, none of this is necessarily true. I don't know where you're getting in this information from, but at the same time, this is not something that is set in stone according to the sources that I'm bringing in. And what's interesting about that, credibility is so well established in something like that, that rumors can stop pretty quickly. And this is actually an advantage of social media. So I've said rumors can take off. There's nothing that you can do about it, or nothing you can do about it, but it's difficult to manage once they're already going. But at the same time, you can have enough crowdsourcing with other people to be able to squash a rumor down as well. So if, again, a player comes in and West Ham United is apparently interested in them, you'll see a post about this, and then you'll see about 15, 30 comments underneath that will say, yeah, right, I'm waiting for this person to say so. So like there's an influencer by the name of XWHU employee. That's his Twitter handle. And he's kind of the go-to for all things of this club. And he's the one that can squash out a rumor very quickly to where they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Where you heard that. And so people will believe that person very adamantly, I might add. So, but that also goes when he says something's going to happen, it likely does, and that rumor will take off as well, regardless of the brevity and the accuracy of it. Now, again, this person is considered widely to be very accurate in the predictions, but at the same time, those rumors actually get squashed by the masses themselves. So even when people will bring it back up, there will be a person right behind them to be able to kind of stamp that down. So the idea about all of this is to have those voice leaders. So it could be a CEO, which is a good place to start on it, but it can also be people that are a part of the club stakeholders. When Donald Trump was president, this was during the government shutdown, and Clemson won the national championship. There was this big meme and joke about the Clemson football team going to the White House and having McDonald's, KFC, that sort of thing. And there was a tweet that went around of Trevor Lawrence, who now plays for the Jaguars. And Trevor was like, oh, we're boys that we don't really need all that fancy White House food. We eat McDonald's all the time. So it was really just, the what we're used to, that kind of thing. And so we enjoyed it. And not that they didn't appreciate their time at the White House, but Trevor Lawrence went on his Twitter right after that and said, yeah, I didn't say that. None of that was true. Again, I think he went on his Twitter to say, I thank my opportunity to be at the White House, but no, we did not say anything like that. So the bottom line with that is another example of kind of being able to cut off part of that rumor. Again, it will still go, and you will still have people that will have these conversation threads about it, but for the most part, all it takes is a quick Google search to look at that and say, oh, okay, that's not true. So to kind of put it in perspective, to cut off some of these rumors, again, stakeholders and authority with credibility can be a great resource to be able to say, no, that's false. Please don't spread that. Crowdsourcing can be a part of it. Is once people see that, a lot of people like to move on that and be able to say, I agree with this influencer. They know what they're talking about. Therefore, this rumor is not true. And like I said, as an organization, making your statement known and clear that, nope, for good or bad, this is something that has not happened, can be a very good thing to be able to say. But I will mention one thing to go along with that, and this is kind of the last point, is still taking rumors seriously in some cases is a good thing. Now, this is not always the case, but sometimes if a rumor gets out of hand, you have to address it, regardless of how out of line, out of touch it is. It may be something where you have to say, now, wait a minute, we have to say, and we have to put our foot down in the ground and make sure that we mention that this is a rumor, this is not true, that sort of thing. So the point of this is being able to address this, take it seriously, and if you need to do an investigation, do an investigation. One of the most interesting, this wasn't a cyber rumor, but some of the things that kind of went along with it was when Chipotle had that E. coli breakout. They actually did a lot of really good things to be able to kind of mitigate some of that crisis. I believe that happened in Oregon, which was they closed down that shop. They did mandatory trainings for a day. And one of the things that I thought they did really well was they knew when to address and when not to. So they took this very seriously. I mean, they had to, right? Because, it was an E. coli breakout in that area. Segmenting off that store in Oregon was a good start. Therefore, you can't get a lot of different places that will say something along the same thing. So in crisis response, segmentation is a very good thing to say. I kind of cut off that part for the time being while we address this. The other thing that we might want to focus on is when to address the rumor and when to not, because the rumor mill kind of went off when this Chipotle E. coli breakout, to where I actually thought this was funny, but it still would probably be fairly stressful if you were a Chipotle employee or anything like that. There were anytime your burrito bowl or something would look weird, you might put something on Twitter saying, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe Chipotle's so unhealthy, and I can't believe they would do this." And there was one in particular where somebody had a leaf on their burrito bowl, and this went off. It was a meme for not very long, but and thankfully not very long because of what actually happened. But there was this meme of there's this leaf on my bowl, and I can't believe that Chipotle had this. They can't even clean their stores appropriately. Blah blah blah. And someone very matter of factly on Twitter said those are bay leaves. They're supposed to be on there. Granted, I don't know that you would actually eat those bay leaves, but at the same time, it's meant for seasoning. So it was something that was struck down pretty quickly in this case. The reason I bring out all this is rumors can spread very fast, and they can have a lot of magnitude depending on the severity of it. It is your job as an organization to be able to not only mitigate said rumor, to kind of, again, potentially segment off it, take it seriously, but at the same time, if you know that you're not in the wrong here, these can be things that can actually be used to your advantage. The Pepsi example that I used, when they did it, they were actually praised for how well they addressed everything, to the point where even copycats, rumors spread even further, and they're like, "You don't have anything against us," because none of it was true. So hoax communication has a lot to do with that as well. And I will put, there's a really good, that's the last thing I'll say, I promise. There's a really good video. It's from a influencer called Legal Eagle, that talks about cases that were blown out of proportion. So they talk about the McDonald's coffee spill, the actually, you know what? I'm not going to go into detail with some of that. I want y'all to watch those. And the main reason I want y'all to watch those is because I want y'all to get the full brunt of what actually was going on in those cases. So I'm going to stop there. Thank you all for listening. And I will make sure that we talk more about Fern Banks in the next video. Thanks.